Harry Boxler, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com, and at the thetechtrader.com today we had some great trades. I wanted to give you a quick look at them. Not many times do we get two trades in one day, but if you take a look at AEA chart, exploded pre-market and then coiled, or flagged I should say. And when it broke out of the flag, I told everyone in my room this is a possible day trade with a target up around the 4 3/4, 5 range from where it was at that time about the 4 1/4 area. So as you can see, it's stair-stepped its way higher. It worked its way up with a spike to 508, got right to the target zone, and then took a 3 or 4 hour falling wedge to form. When lateral price resistance broke right there, they indicated a potential day trade, second day trade for AEHR. It went through the 450 range, flagged, exploded, flagged again, consolidated, backed off to test the trend line, and then took off and went vertical with a trading halt right there, and an eventual run after hours that took it all the way up to 767 from where we first entered it on this trade around 4.5. That was a great trade. AHPI popped early on and pulled back when after the market opened. That was an ideal entry op. When it started moving, then we went long over the 6 level, and within minutes it reached 707 before pulling back in a beautiful, perfectly tight, perfectly formed tight falling wedge. Popped out there. That was another day trade. From 6 and change, the stock went 6.5. It went up to 8 1/4 for $1.75, and then formed another coil. Obvious breakout on this one came when it took out this zone right there, and when it became a buy at right above the breakout point, which was at 780. It literally went vertical, was halted, and went to 1019 before the late after hours pullback took place. HOFF was another good one that exploded from the get-go and from the coil when it broke out. We were long. That one popped, coiled, popped, flagged, wedged, and even though it had an overshoot here, the pullback held the trend line very tightly all day to move from about the 9 3/4 range all the way up to 1240 at the high. And you can see even after hours, it was holding up very well. Big gain there, 28%. Had a good day with NXRP, exploded pre-market and pulled back, wedged and broke out. That was all pre-market. Then the market opened, the stock was down in that 9.5 range. It took a few hours to stabilize. There was a breakout. When I saw this little flag forming in there, I alerted everybody that if it broke out over 1235.40, we probably should go long. Well, it got away really fast, off to the races. $1.40 in a minute, worked its way higher from the wedge, and then eventually made it up to just under 15 before the afternoon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 way pullback, V bottom, and a platform at this point. Looking for this to get back to 13.15 tomorrow. Stay tuned. Novavax with a huge day. Breaks out of a base. As the market opens, it took off, coiled, and that was a breakout point, a flag right there. In fact, this one bar, which came out 64,000 shares, broke it out at about the 192 range. Within about 20 minutes, it was 204, 12 points. Another perfect flag formed, another breakout occurred. The stock continued to the top of the channel. And my target, which was about 210.11. And then coil broke out again at a secondary target of 219. We reached 219.36. So all targets were met on this one. And the overall move went from 187 to 219. In the oil sector, oil ETFs were strong today as oil dropped $5.75, or about 8% in one day. When I saw the pre-market pop in the coil and the flag, we were indicated to go long this stock. From the get-go, it's popped and flagged, and then took off. From that level, about 1985, within 3 hours, it was trading at 2108, and then before the close got up to 2124 before pulling back. And finally, the UVXY, probably our best trade of the day. And the market opened pre-market and coiled. I said, wait for the opening, but we could see that during the opening process, a dip, pop, dip, pop, dip, pop. And then one thing that was certain that the VWAP held all first 15, 20 minutes, then it took off. And when it got up to 32.50, 60, I had a target about 36. We reached 35.98, pretty close. Corrective pullback, a wedge formed. UBXY broke out of that wedge and took off again, this time going from 33 3/4, eventually reaching my 38.5 target, 38.64 high. That's a look at some of the best trades that we did today at techtrader.com. Look forward to having some of you join us. Go to thetechtrader.com and check us out. Free trial for 10 days. Talk to you tomorrow.